Hey, Com7, I'm not seeing it just yet on your Facebook page.
School and elementary trustees, would you please join me in rising for the pledge? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, and you may be seated. And I'll start this off with a roll call vote of the trustees for the record. When I call your name, if you would reply present. I'll start with Vice Chair Joe Raffiani.
Present.
Jana Hafer.
Present.
Michael Leo.
Present.
Russ Hall.
Present.
Tanya Ludwig.
Present.
Brian Yates.
Present.
Scott McCullough.
Present.
And Jen Hoffman.
Present.
We have 100% attendance. That's fabulous. The first item on our agenda is an update from the superintendent. And with that, I will turn it over to Superintendent Upham.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. I hope everyone had a great weekend. We've had a few new bits of information to update. Number one was with the continuation or the expansion of the governor's stay in place directive that was given last week. We have sent out a document to our building administrators in response to that. We'll forward that to you, or I may have forwarded it already. If I did I? Anybody nodding? I can't remember. We've sent so many things out, but we'll get that out. And basically, it's just to reduce the number of employees. Not that we have many, if any, in the building. So we told our building administrators to let's make sure that we have people available in our high schools and middle schools from 7 a.m. to 4 p.m. And in doing so, we asked that the administrators set up a schedule so that there was only one of them in the building at one time, or maybe two. And I had each executive director go through their individual departments and reduce all employees that possibly could not be, or that could work from home, do work at home. And so right now at the Lincoln Center, there's just a few of us that are here. There are some that are in and out, but for the most part, it's just people coming in on a need-be basis. In the elementary schools, we've moved to a Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 7 a.m. to 12 p.m. and a Tuesday, Thursday from 12 p.m. to 4 p.m. And in an effort to reduce the number of people. And, for the most part, I feel very confident that the majority, if not all of our families have had the opportunity to get into the schools, get their materials, get whatever they need to do. So now it's an exchange of materials, and reached out to John Felton this weekend about the exchange of paper and good practices. And so we've employed some of those safety practices with the paper exchange on the traditional side, or the traditional platform of education. We're doing as much on the digital side, I think, as we can, but we still have some traditional paper that's going back and forth. So we wanted to minimize that type of transmission there. And so that's been communicated out. The document is fairly extensive, and I will share that out with you. It's just a continuation of the work that we're doing now. We are in Tier 2. Tier 2, I anticipated, would take us to the middle of April. I anticipate hearing from the governor probably late this week, maybe early next week, as to what the future holds. It appears to me that he's making decisions in 2-week increments. I know that President Trump today stated that it appeared that he's asking the country to stay in a stay put until at least April 30th. We're prepared to do that. As far as the general day-to-day operation that's going on now, not much different other than just trying to get better at the platforms that we have currently in place. I know going further that we'll start to probably look at some engagement challenges, especially from our older students, the closer that maybe get to May. We had a conversation today with our building principals about graduation. As I've shared on my live Facebook broadcast, we haven't canceled graduation, nor have we said it was going to occur, but I did open up conversations today with our executive directors and all high school building administrators to say, what would graduation look like if we were unable to gather? And I think, moving forward, when you think about the possibility of 15 to 25,000 people coming together in one day, 3 different segments, I think it's probably safe to say that probably is not going to be a good idea going forward. Now, I'm not saying that we're canceling graduation, but I am opening up conversations with our buildings about what does it look like. One of the things I did share in that conversation, which I think is probably one of the most, if not the most important component to graduation, and that is the individual's name being read and the recognition. And so as we discuss this on the front end, I think that's what we would work toward, would be some type of virtual component where student's name was read, and then moving forward from there, we don't know yet. So I think just being in a preparatory component to that, I think we need to look to the future of that. From there, it's just it's lonely here. It's just Marta and I and a few. You see a mouse go through every now and then, wave to them. But this social distancing isn't very fun. I can tell you that. I am a people person and I miss people, but that's just the way it's going to go. So that's about it for my superintendent's report.
Thanks, Greg. And the next item on the agenda is an update from the Student Services Department. And we have Judy Provolitis, who's the Executive Director of Student Services, and she will update the trustees on the special service protocols and procedures. She's also attached the guide for virtual IEPs if you want to look at that and follow along. And with that, I'll turn it over to Judy.
Good evening, everybody. It's full at my house, so we've got dogs and cats that came in with all the kids that came home. So I had to find a different spot. Sorry, no ambiance for you. But thank you guys for having these regular meetings and the opportunity to provide information for outlining the services that we're providing for our special needs students. Like all of the departments, we've had to quickly rethink how we're providing services to adapt and modify to meet the student needs. We've carefully and to the best of our ability followed all of the federal regulations in compliance with the IDEA, which is the Individuals of Disability Education Act, and in conjunction with OPI. We're on regular meetings with OPI, making sure that we're providing services and guidance that we need. The schools are currently conducting annual IEPs. Most of it is being done virtually with everybody either Google hanging out and parents calling in. We did put out the guidance that you have with you, and it pretty clearly outlines exactly what needs to happen. The students that are in the process of a reevaluation or an initial evaluation may be scheduled, provided that the team has the necessary data, assessments, and evaluations completed to make a determination if they would qualify. In situations where the information is not complete, the IEP will be scheduled as soon as school resumes. Our federal regulations do stipulate that a student must be made accessible to complete an evaluation, and with the governor closure of schools and the 6-foot social distancing, that sort of misses that criteria at this time. We cannot jeopardize the student and or our staff in many of the assessments. They have to sit right next to them. They have to touch manipulatives. They have to take data. And so just it's impossible to, conduct that type of an assessment under the restrictions that we have. Our teachers are providing both paper pencil assignments. They're doing virtual one-to-one lessons, either group and classroom instructions. Many are providing guidance for parents at home to do some additional activities to help keep them structured. The students are receiving speech, OT, PT, and other related services to the best of their ability. It's important to note that in the state of Montana, we do have some regulations that restrict what is called teletherapy. And so we're working through the OPI on what that might look like as we go forward with this, and if they might do some waiving of some of those restrictions so that those service providers can provide that information and instruction to those students. Again, we are stressing that we work with our parents as best as possible, and that the parents are helping to provide a regular schedule as well as independent activities that were provided by the teachers at home. If parents haven't been contacted by their teacher or they have questions, we just encourage them to stay in touch with the classroom teacher as well as the school for any instruction or directions they have. So I hope that answers any questions you might have of how IEPs and student services are providing instruction. So, any questions?
So Russ, last week you were asking about the implementation of the social services. Do you have any questions for Judy?
I'm unmuted. No, I don't think so. Thanks for answering all those questions. Like, sounds from what I understand, and I've got a friend who works in the special ed group that sounds like they're putting in a lot of long hours to take care of our kids. So thank you very much.
Any other questions of Judy? How many students do you feel still need to be contacted? What percentage of our kids haven't yet responded? Or
well, I guess contact goes both ways.
Right.
I'm pretty confident that 100% of our students, the teachers have made some sort of contact. I do know that many of them parents are not returning calls. They haven't returned back. Some of them have, basically said, I'm just so overwhelmed right now, get a hold of me later. So we've instructed our staff. We did virtual meetings with all of our high school and middle schools Friday, and we did all of our elementary as well as related service providers today. And the directive out of my office is that they must make some sort of contact, no matter what, at least once a week, especially for those parents that we're not hearing back from. But I'm pretty confident that we've reached out to every one of them. We have a little over 2,300 students receiving services in the Billings Public Schools. But I would say, I don't even want to put 100%. I do know that there are a few parents who just have not had the opportunity to return calls back.
Thanks. I appreciate the fact that our teachers are reaching out, and you're confident that 100% of the teachers have reached out to our students, or 100% of our students have been contacted. And it's just a matter of having that continued contact and the perseverance that you are showing in your department. So thank you very much for the work that you're doing. Appreciate it. Are there any other questions of Judy? Thanks, Judy. Appreciate it. And that moves us on to the next agenda, which is the budget business office update. So Craig Van Ice is going to update us on that.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So for the last couple of weeks, the business office has been working towards a solution for a remote capability in case the office needed to move off site. Last week, with the extension for an additional 2 weeks by the governor, we decided to push go on that plan and got everyone in the business office set up with a laptop. And closing out last week, we had everyone testing their access. And as of today, we had the full business office off-site. We coordinated through Zoom meetings, and we'll continue to expand on those capabilities throughout the course of this week. We will have some folks from the business office continue to come into the Lincoln Center. We're trying to figure out what functionality would we lose if in a worst case scenario the Lincoln Center were to be shut down, and what kind of functions the business office does that we couldn't do offsite. We've run into a lot of that is incoming mail. A lot of that mail is hard copy invoices and payments that we just haven't had a process in place to handle that offsite to date, but we're working through all that right now. And then we're also the main focus right now is on payroll, and we got our support payroll that's in the process of being finalized. A lot of questions from employees and staff since we sent some guidance out at the end of last week as it relates to that support payroll and submission of timesheets, but we're working through all that. That support payroll is set for payment on April 8th, so that would be the Wednesday after this week. So April 8th is the support payroll, and we're working towards administrative payroll being paid out on the 15th, and then the next teacher payroll for certified staff on the 20th. So again, working through some of the smaller details of if we want to move completely remote and off-site, there's going to be some additional measures we have to take to do so. And we'll just continue to work through those and update the trustees as we move along.
Thanks, Craig. Are there questions of Craig? Got a pretty easy group tonight for you. Thanks, Craig. I appreciate your update. And then the next item on the agenda is the elementary levy postponement. And we received an email, which is attached from Brett Rutherford, who is our election coordinator. And the Yellowstone County Superintendent, in coordination with the County Elections Administrator, are recommending the postponement of the May 5th Elementary General Fund election until July 7th. Below is an email that came from Brett Rutherford, the Elections Administrator. It says, as you may know, under 20-20-108 Montana Code Annotated, the County Superintendent of Schools has the authority to cancel the May 5th school election as Governor Bullock has declared a state of emergency. After consulting with the County Attorney's Office, Sherry Long, our County Superintendent, and I have decided that it would be the appropriate course of action due to the COVID-19 outbreak, as the health of our staff, volunteers, and the public is of the utmost importance. Our main concern is a very small window between ballot certification, April 3rd, and when the ballots must be available, April 7th, for late registration, and April 15th for absentees. Under normal circumstances, after ballots are printed, after the certification deadline, a large group of volunteers help to prepare the mailings at the courthouse, which takes about 8 full days to complete. With the shelter-in-place order and the social spacing guidelines that we're required to follow, this would not be possible. As such, we have prepared the attached draft timeline to tentatively reschedule the contested races and levies for July 7th. This should give districts requesting levies ample time to submit their budgets by August 15th. The declaration would not be given until Friday, April 3rd, allowing us the opportunity to cancel uncontested races under 20-3-313. Regarding the trustee elections, after the trustee write-in deadline of April 2nd, unopposed trustee races can be canceled and candidates declared elected by acclamation. Opposed races would be on July 7th ballot along with the elementary levy. And we have attached, the draft revision of the election schedule that reflects the dates. It also includes the language for 20-20-108, which is the rescheduling of a school election canceled due to declaration of state of emergency or disaster, and that this cancellation falls under this. As I understand it, there is no action required of the board, just an acknowledgement that we have received this information or have been notified of the postponement of the election. So it in no way affects our plan to run the election. It will change some timelines as far as Greg, Superintendent Upham, sharing more about the levy It's not as if he doesn't have a few other things on his plate right now. It gives a little bit of breathing room and breathing space. I've asked Jeff Weldon to be on this evening, our school attorney from Felt Martin, or one of our school attorneys from Felt Martin, to give us any additional insight and answer any questions. So, Jeff, are you there?
I am. Thank you, Madam Chair. So we've had the opportunity to look at all sorts of statutes that none of us knew even existed prior to this experience. And this is one of them. And just to be clear, it's actually the county superintendent who would carry out the cancellation of the election under these circumstances. And as I read Brad and Sherry's email, that's what they're planning to do. The statute then goes on to say that when the emergency abates or the emergency is lifted, then the trustees would reschedule the election. So by providing kind of a proposed calendar, then that gives us a roadmap on how to go forward. So you're correct, there is no required action by the board tonight. This is just timely provision of information for the board and what's going on. So as I said, there's nothing that the board needs to do, but we can look at the statute. You can click through to the statute in the agenda item if you want to look at the statute itself. So if there's any questions, I'd be happy to take those.
Any questions of Attorney Jeff Weldon? Looks like you've answered all of our questions, Jeff. Great job. Thanks for being there for us. I really appreciate being able to tap into you for your wisdom and your legal expertise. So that brings us to communication from the public. And as we have brought before the public on numerous occasions during our virtual meeting, there's a new process for public comment for a virtual meeting. Submitted in electronic format using Google Documents. The link is provided on the district's webpage. And again, when accessing the district's homepage or school board page, a pop-up window will appear with a link to the Google document. Submissions require a full name and home address in order to be submitted for the record and are limited to 500 word count. Submissions will be screened and read verbally by our district clerk prior to the conclusion of the meeting. Again, public comment is for public comment and public opinions that would like to be shared. It's not the vehicle for asking questions, but Superintendent Upham's daily meetings at 12:30 are a perfect time for people to type in their questions and their concerns, and also take a look at the frequently asked question page on our district website to get any further information. So with that long little preamble, Mr. Van Ice, do we have any communication from the public this evening?
Yes, Madam Chair, there are 3 comments. I'll go ahead and start with the first comment from Rachel Shilref at 510 North 29th Street. Dear Billings Public Schools trustees, I am writing to let you know that the Billings Education Association Representative Council, which consists of at least one representative from each school building, voted unanimously to endorse the elementary mill levy at our meeting on March 24th. The BEA has always been a strong ally in the good work that needs to be done to rally our community and to get out the vote. We stand poised and ready to continue that work. The BEA Political Action Committee also voted to make a $500 donation to the mill levy campaign. We encourage each of our members to make a donation of time and or money. We know that the efforts spent towards the campaign will be an investment in our community that we will benefit from in perpetuity. We look forward to working with you on this, and we are hopeful about the outcome. In solidarity, Rachel Shilref, BEA President. Okay, the second comment is from Tina McDonough at 3034th Street West, Apartment 10. So are we going to have school the rest of the year? And the third comment is from Val Young at 2424 58th Street West. Thank you for all of your hard work and dedication to the continuing education of the students. As a mom of 3 children in the district, I believe it would be helpful to have Zoom meetings between the students and their teachers, especially with the introduction of new educational content. Also, it would be very helpful to have the teachers post their assignments, Zoom notifications by 9 a.m. each day if possible. And that's it for public comment, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Craig, and I appreciate the comments that people make and the questions that are raised. I'm sure we'll take a look at and possibly include in the superintendent's lunch and learn and on frequently asked question pages. So in conversation with Superintendent Upham, we were thinking that for sake of continuation of communication with our community, that we would set these meetings to occur, our virtual meetings to occur every Monday at 5:30. Visited with Jeff Weldon about it, and that was his legal recommendation as well. It keeps our community updated. It also enables us to, excuse me, fulfill our action plan that we submitted to the governor when we have the routine updates from our executive directors. And again, I think the executive directors a couple weeks ago did an absolutely fabulous job at giving updates on specifically what is happening in each and every one of those departments to educationally assist our students. So with that, there are a couple other, I want you to be aware of special board meetings that may be coming up. There is one that is currently scheduled for April 8th. Board operations, as you know, is typically held the first Tuesday of the month at 11:30. What we're going to do to conserve our trustees' time is we're going to move board operations to 5 p.m. directly preceding the board meeting next Monday at 5:30. And so with that, I will recess this meeting until next Monday at 5:30, and I look forward to seeing you there. I thank you for being here, and I ask you to stay safe. Thank you. Have a good evening.